Okay, so for these last three slides, they're all connected to the same graph, so I'll do them all together here on this last video for you. So what we have here is a frequency histogram. And I think that you mentioned in your first email that you were having a little bit of difficulty just sort of overall with reading it and understanding how to get the percentages from it and stuff, so let's start there. What this histogram is showing on the vertical axis, these here are the percents, okay? They're written as a decimal, so if you see 0.125, then that really means 12.5%, and so on, okay? And so what you're seeing here is each of these bars having a value in terms of percentages of the overall population. And that's what they're asking in all of these questions, is for you to read all of that information from the graph. Now, it does make it a little bit harder because right here we can't actually see where this bar comes to. We can only estimate that it's probably 0.35 or 35% of your population represented there. And so if you add them all up, the first bar seems to be 0.35. The next one looks like it's maybe around 0.2. The next one is almost lined up with the 0.125. I think it's maybe a little bit below that. It's hard to tell, really. This graph is not ideal in terms of being able to read the information exactly. I'm just going to assume that that's maybe 0.0 or 0.10. The next one, there's hardly any any values in that bar, and so that one's a really hard one to read. Boy, maybe like maybe like 3% or something like that, 0.003. And if you carry on and you do that for all of your bars, maybe that one about 8%. I'm just trying to read, where that would be on this y-axis. The idea is that by the time that you've got all of those in here, that all of those percentages for all of your bars are going to add up to a total of 1, all right? And that 1, what that represents, sorry, the yellow is hard to see, is 100% of your data. So 1 decimal 0 is the same as 100% in terms of the probabilities that are being displayed here, okay? And so that actually is what these values represent, is the probabilities out of this population that your infant mortality rate will fall in any of these areas. So if you're estimating Q1 from the histogram, Q1 is the first 25% of the data. We can see that the first bar is already 35% of the total data, and so the 25th percentile would be contained in that bar. And so we would want to choose the first option for that answer. And I'm just going to bring up the other questions here. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. Here we go. Let's make it better. Okay, here's your second set of questions. The mean rounded to 1 decimal place. I think that this question doesn't go with this graph. I think this goes with the first slide that I talked about. So let's minimize that one, and I'm going to bring up the other one. Let's have a quick look here. Oh yeah, I think that this one goes with this graph here. I apologize. I think that other one went with the first question. So estimating the median from the histogram, remember that the median is the 50th percentile, or the halfway point in your data. And so you have to figure out from your graph where 50% is going to occur. And we can see that with the 0.35 and the 0.2, those would add up to 0.55, which is already more than 50% of the data. And so we haven't gotten to half of the data yet. At the end of the first bar, we're only at 35%, but definitely by the end of this second interval we have. So it has to occur somewhere in that second interval, somewhere on this bar. And so that interval is between 10 and 20, and so that's why we're going to choose 10 and 20 here. Q3 is the 75th percentile, okay, and you're going to do that exactly the same way, but you're going to keep adding up the values until you get to 0.75, and when you find the bar that has the 0.75 value sort of contained within it, then that's going to be your answer there. And for the last one, which of the following statements is true? So this is a right skewed distribution because most of the data is on the left-hand side of the graph. So we've got B to choose from and E to choose from. And there's also here, it says that the mean will be less than the median, or the mean will be greater than the median. And in this case, the right skewed distribution, it means that the mean is less than the median. So I believe B is the answer that you want to choose there.